Hi guys, Mauricio Zottarelli here. Welcome. I want to talk to you a little bit about Samba, the Brazilian groove that probably is the most well-known all over the world. I have a couple of tips that I think will help you all understand a little bit better of the aspects of the coordination, what happens when we have to play that groove, what happens with our hands, what happens with our feet. And I think I have some tips that will help you speed up the process so you guys can come into the kit and start playing this fantastic groove from Brazil that we all love so much. So let's talk about the feet first. I want to show you one pattern that's probably the most well-known and the most used pattern for Samba. There's many others, but the exercises we'll go over today will work with any of the patterns later on that we can add. So let's start with the simple one that's the most used. So it involves the bass drum and the hi-hat. The hi-hat is played on the end, and the bass drum is playing on the first 16th note of the beat and the last 16th note. And then the second thing on the same thing on the second beat. Remember guys, Samba, we usually feel it in 2/4. So we're talking about 2 beats. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then, so the bass drum will be doing first 16th note, basically 1, 2, 1, first 16th and last 16th. 1, 2. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 1 E and A, 2 E and A. And the hi-hat will be playing on the ends. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Let me show you how this works together. Okay, now let's talk about the hands. There's a couple of combinations I want to show you guys. But there's many. The cool thing about this exercise that we're going to be dealing with the combination of the hands and the coordination with the feet, but also I want to talk about dynamics and I want to talk about how to apply this on the kit. So we're going to come and do this whole thing, everything at once. So we're going to do the coordination, but we're also applying it to the different parts of the kit so we get the full spectrum of how this groove works. So let's do the feet first. And then I'm going to do single strokes with my hands. So 1 stroke per hand. And the important thing that I want you guys to look at, we're going to do right cymbal and snare. So I'm going to start on the right cymbal and play the second note on the snare. But later I'm going to switch hands. So it's very important for everything that we do today here to do with both hands leading. That's a very good way to start developing our coordination so we can eventually solo over this pattern that we play on the feet and we feel more free with our 4 limbs. So let's start with the cymbal and the snare, and I'll do it with both hands leading, and then we'll talk about some other combinations that we can do. Watch out for dynamics. The snare shouldn't be louder than the cymbal. We're trying to keep all the notes the same, fairly the same dynamics. It's 2 different surfaces. But that's the idea. So check it out. So guys, let's talk about double strokes now. So what we did was we did single strokes, 1 stroke per hand. Now we're going to play 2 strokes per hand. So right, right, left, left, or left, left, right, right. And those will be on top of the ostinato that we were doing before with the feet. Okay guys, next step, 4 notes per hand. So right, 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 left, 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 left. Okay? Same ostinato on the feet. At this point, I want to emphasize again the importance of dynamics here. So both hands should be the same dynamic level as much as we can do it. Obviously, we're doing right cymbal and snare, two different surfaces, two different sounds, but we try to keep the dynamic level as equal as we can. That's going to come in handy later when we start putting this together, playing with the group. We have to watch out for the internal dynamics within our hands and feet. So that's a good way to start, getting that in our minds and being conscious of dynamics. So now we can start combining different patterns with the hands. One thing that I really love to practice and show my students is using paradiddles with the hands. So I'm going to show you 4 variations that we can do on top of the bass drum pattern. So check these out. Now we're going to do everything leading with the right hand or left hand for you guys. So it's important to do with both. Now the next step would be to change these patterns and start improvising, and you can open them up on the kit. So there's a lot of different things you can do, and this will help your coordination, keeping that ostinato on the feet, keeping that pattern going, boom, 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 and then improvising with the hands. That's the next level that we're getting at, and then you eventually start soloing and you can feel more free while playing that groove. A good place to start, you can look at books like Stick Control, and find many, many different combinations for the hands. But you can also experiment on your own and even grab these paradiddles and try to apply them on the kit. I'll give you a couple of examples. Let me do it a little faster, it will sound a little more musical. So what I did there, I used some of the doubles that we talked about, 4 strokes per hand, plus the paradiddles, different combinations. So all these things come in handy, especially because samba is such a challenging style when the tempo starts increasing, because we have to keep that 16-note pattern going. That comes from the shakers, from the percussion. We need to have that going for the groove to happen. And so it's obviously very hard to do that with one hand, depending on the tempo of the song. So a good way to do that is to open up to different surfaces and create that 16-note groove without having to play too much with just one hand. So that's a good way to go about that, that difficulty that we all have playing samba. All right, guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Keep practicing. Good luck with the exercises. Have fun with them. Watch dynamics. And watch both hands leading. It's very important to try with both hands leading. That's going to give you guys a bigger spectrum of possibilities for coordination when you're playing samba. So I'm going to demonstrate a little bit more of what I talked about, applying some of the ideas, and I'll see you next time.